So before I talk about like the three levels of uncertainty, can I walk you guys through? Are you guys game for me to walk you through what's energetically happening during objection handling? So we're gonna talk a little energetics. That fair game? Cool. So I want us to imagine, because we talk a lot about like, in my ethos and my philosophy of sales, right? I talk a lot about like the spiritual sales or the energetic side of sales, right? If you're not super spiritual, you can interchange the word energetic, right? So we have both a positive and a negative polarity inside of us that dictate our emotions. So what's happening is when we are in, let's say, discovery and the pitch, and everything is going great, right? So let's say let's create these batteries, right? We have these emotional batteries that are happening throughout the call. What's happening is you guys are doing such a great job with discovery, right? The pitch, you're creating all these positive associations, and they're getting like really excited. And then Colton, what happens sometimes to people when you're like, you drop the price, even though you find out, like, dude, they're so leaned in. What happens when you drop the price with some people?
Just an immediate pullback.
Immediate pullback.
Sales resistance go way up.
Yep. So you got all this positive charge that you just spent 45 minutes building, right? And then all of a sudden, you drop the price and the negativity starts building up. And some people, depending on their beliefs, will allow, like, let's say their financial belief to overtake and overpower all the positive associations you just created, all the positive energy, all the positive charges. So, Isaiah, let me ask you this. What do you think is like my job now when I'm starting to notice energetically or intuitively that this is happening? What do you think my job is as a closer or even a setter?
Yeah, like you were saying, to ask questions to make them realize that, like themselves, that it's like positive and not negative.
Yes. Because, guys, law of transference of energy is neither created or destroyed, it is simply transferred. Right? And what I can do is also just neutralize this negativity. So my job, secondary to bringing clarity, the energetic job that I have, or my energetic outcome is what I should say, is to neutralize the negativity and transfer it back to positive energy. Okay. So everything that I'm doing is just to neutralize the negative charges and eliminate it from their mind. Right? Let me pause. Like, is this making sense? Drop a one in the chat if it's making sense. Because if it's too much, let me take it a step back. Drop a one if this is clear. Drop a two if you're still unclear. Okay. It's okay if it's unclear. I want to make sure if anyone is unclear that they drop it too. Okay. Hot is one. Okay, cool. Great. We have understanding there. So this stuff right here, guys, I didn't learn this from anyone. I didn't get coaching on this. This is my own proprietary like philosophy on objection handling. And remember, it's not just applicable to objection handling, it's also applicable to the rest of the call and interactions. But specifically, this is my process with objection handling is before I can start talking about the tactics and like what the words to say or how to handle a specific objection, I need to understand what is actually energetically happening on a call. Okay. So remember, if this is Mr. Prospect, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, and this is you, remember, guess who also has a positive and negative charge? You do. right? You do. So it's not just about, okay, how can I eliminate their neutralization? Do you want to know the number one biggest mistake that people make when they're trying to learn objection handling or try to say the new thing? This is it. You allow their negative charge to affect you. You actually become the effect as opposed to the cause. So it is no surprise to me, and this is from personal experience, this is what I learned. It is no surprise to me when someone tells me, hey, just say this line, it's not landing. Why? It's because I am not leading. I'm actually allowing the prospect's negative energy, the negative life force or negative associations to actually affect me. So I get anxious, I get nervous, I get fearful, I get uncertain. And I might say all the right things, but the energy is off. Does that make sense, crew? Right? So before I can train and coach you guys on what to say, like I have to make sure that I get you guys to understand this principle energetic thing that's happening behind the scenes. Because what's happening is right now, like if we talk about like energy and frame and all that stuff, theirs is overtaking yours. And so no matter what you say, they're gonna win. It's like Grant Cardone's like whole like sell or be sold. It's the same kind of concept, except this is what it's actually happening is they're allowing their energetic associations or energy there to affect you that you can't even say the right things to neutralize this. It's not possible. So what do we need to do? First thing, and I want you guys to write this down, principle. I must be cause over effect. I must be cause over effect. Law of cause and effect, right? Talking about two different laws. We're talking about the law of transference of energy and law of cause of effect. If you guys understand the physics behind this, everything else becomes easier. So I must be cause over effect. Let me ask you. Let's see. Hadswan, what do you think that means to you when I say I must be cause over effect?
Be the cause and not get affected by the situation.
Yep. So let's get a specific example. If someone says I don't have the money, right? I don't have the money. Are you going to be of effect to their negative money limiting beliefs? Or knowing what my role is, which is to be cause of this situation in this environment, do I steward and lead them on how to think about money in a more positive way? So let me get even more specific. I could not handle money objections and financial objections well until I dealt with my own internal money beliefs, my own internal energetic relationship with money. Right? Because if I'm operating, let's go back to the chart. If I'm operating from a negative belief system with money, any money objection, any money reframe, or any money questions I ask is just going to emanate more negative energy. So what did I have to change first? Well, first, I had to have a positive belief about money so that when I actually say the lines, guess what? Here's what happened. I used the positive charge to neutralize the negative charge. And guess what was still standing? The positive charge was still standing from the pitch and discovery. So it's not like that went anywhere. It's just there was more negative charges actually withholding. So there might be an element of me wanting to create more positive charges from my money beliefs, right? Maybe I'm creating even more. But 80% of the battle crew is just neutralizing the negative energy. That's all it is. It's just neutralizing it. So my responsibility, like I said, the energetic outcomes to neutralize the negativity and, if possible, transfer it into positive energy, because you can make that a negative into a positive, right? The transference law of energy there. So that is the energetic principle that's playing at hand, whether you know it or not, or whether you're aware to it or not, during an objection handling interaction. My intention throughout the next 3 to 4 weeks over our objection handling mini series is to bring awareness not just to what to say, the SOPs, the scripts, but what is actually happening in the unsaid during a call. Because what is happening in the unsaid in the call, the energetic dynamics, is actually what helps you overcome people's limiting beliefs, their BS, the rebuttals. Because if I'm coming from a place where my sole job during objection handling is to neutralize negative charges and to reassociate to positive, all the things that I need to say just come a lot more natural because I know what I'm actually doing. The problem is most people don't know what they're trying to do or what outcome they're trying to achieve during objection handling, or they have the wrong outcome. Most people's outcome is, I need to say that line. Our outcome moving forward as I train you guys is, I need to neutralize the negative charges and reassociate them with more positive beliefs. That's the outcome. All right, let me pause. There's a lot here, guys. There's a lot here. I want to hear takeaways from everyone here. Sam, why don't you kick us off, Sam? What are you taking away for this?
Oh, just a quick question before we do that. It sounds like we're going to be in a coaching mode when we do the when we're handling their negativity with their objections. Is that right?
Not yet.
Framing. Yeah.
There's
Oh,
an
no.
element to that, and I'll go into the tactics of when to do it. But remember, we're going back more into like mini discovery mode. So we're putting back like our like investigator hat, right?
Yeah, we want to neutralize their negative energy and not confront them right head on
Yes.
with
Because
our
if you look through some of my objectionally handling like calls, and I'll give you guys more examples so you guys can hear it. I do a lot of coaching, but I usually ask permission before I step into that. And prior to coaching, I actually step into an investigative mode again. Because remember, mini discovery first.
Right.
Right. And I'm going to walk you through the framework and how to like properly navigate between those two hats. But yes, you are correct. There's going to be moments where, if appropriate, you might step into a coaching mode. And that, in my opinion, is the only time during a sales call that is really appropriate to like step into coaching mode towards the end, because you've built enough trust. But that being said, what was your number one takeaway?
Well, in the past, I ended up letting the prospect with their negativity affect me, and then I come back with my own negativity, and then that wasn't good, right? That
Right.
was
Exactly.
really bad call.
Here's the thing. In this environment, a negative minus a negative does not equal a positive. It's not like math, right? Like, that is the one caveat I will say. Like, the positive creates the negative, right? Micah, what about yourself? What did you love most about what we just talked about?
Yeah, I liked you're basically saying you're kind of like a positive energy like anchor for them. So you just
Yes.
gotta sort of like be strong, like when all their negativity comes, you stay anchored and like
Yes.
your own beliefs. And also you said about like fixing your own limited beliefs. I'm sure if you did that, that just helps you be more anchored because you're so like assured in all your and everything you're saying in your own beliefs. You believe it fully so you can transfer the confidence to them too.
Right. And I want to point out something that Micah said that's super important. Like, that's half the battle is just staying anchored into your own beliefs and values, back to values, right? You're so anchored in that stuff that that's what allows you to eventually get to a point where you're like, hey, like, I'm going to go out there and not be affected, not be effect of their objection. right? Cool. Colton, what about you? What was your number one takeaway from what we just talked about?
Yeah, mine's pretty similar to Micah's, just like staying calm, and like centered when they start throwing objections. One question I do have though is like, what specifically do you mean about like fixing your limited beliefs about money? Like what beliefs changed for you that helped you improve like that aspect?
Yes. So here's the thing is actually before I answer the question, can we just welcome Yusuf? He just actually recently joined, so he's a new member of the sales tribe. Yusuf, welcome, my friend. Good to have you here, brother.
Hey guys, thanks for
We're just
having
going
me.
over a objectionally handling workshop right now, so we're doing a little bit of like takeaways, and then we're going to continue the workshop. Sound good?
Sure.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so let's go back to the pyramid, right? Because I think this is really important for us to understand. Actually, let me ask you, man. How do you personally build a belief system?
Jeez. I don't know, I guess like research, learning from people that are ahead of you.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say those are like the two most important ones.
Right. So I want you guys to understand. Yeah, Micah actually nailed it. Repeated experience. So a belief system is just a compounding of thinking. You think a thought enough times, it gains strength in your mind and it becomes a belief. Right? So whether or not it's true or false, it is a truth for you. Right? So the reason why I said, hey, before we can and it's not saying before, it's just you can handle it stronger. Our belief system actually dictates our language, does it not, Colton?
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? So the language behind us also has energy, right? Language itself has an energy signature. There's the idea behind speaking something into existence. That's why I'm not super big into affirmations, but that's why there is power in affirmations, because when you say something enough, that compounds energy out into the world, right? So for us, in order to properly handle someone else's belief, we need to have a higher level of awareness. Okay? So meaning, if, for example, there's levels to wealth, right? There's levels to money. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Okay? And oftentimes, our awareness levels are dictated by our belief levels. So let me give you another example. Let's use sales as a specific answer. Colton, how many years of sales have you been in?
Like one.
1. Okay. So think back to your first month in sales. What kind of beliefs did you have about sales? And think about to now your current belief of sales after gaining that year of experience. Okay. Would you say you have more conviction and certainty in your skill set after compared to month 1 compared to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And whether you've consciously written it down or not, you have certain values when it comes to sales. Do you not?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what are some values that you have in sales?
Yeah, like making sure that you're actually providing a solution for their needs rather than just like trying to get everyone to buy your product or whatever it is you're selling.
And how, let me ask you this, and these are kind of philosophical questions, but I want you to kind of get to that answer. It's like, how did you come to develop that belief? What did you do? What happened? What caused it?
Failure and training.
Failure, training, and repeated patterns, right? So what has happened is you went from, and this is arbitrary at this point, just for the sake of, the actual call and coaching, is over the year, you went from a level 1 to a level 2 level belief. In sales, these are your sales values, right? When someone is new in sales, they're going to come similar to you where they have level 1 belief. Or maybe their belief is just like, I'm just going to try to sell anything because I want commission. Right? And you go to that new sales rep on your team, like, hey, dude, there's actually a better way to think about this. Right? I believe that you should actually just really help people who you're actually a good fit and come from like helping them make the best decision. And he's going to ask, well, why do you believe that? It's like, well, hey, after a year, experience, failure, testing it out, repeated patterns, this is my truth. And you have now become, let's say and that person leans into you, listens to your coaching, and you help develop them. The reason why that person will listen to you is because you have a lot more conviction than they do. Than that person in day one. Why might you have more conviction than they do?
Have you seen the results change based upon your actions changing?
Yes. You have experience, you have proof, and you actually have a stronger belief system because you had a year to develop that belief system as opposed to someone who's just starting out. So ultimately, back to the law of cause and effect, you are now the cause over the effect of that other person. So to loop it back to why it's super important for you to continue to develop some of these internal beliefs, like, let me think about it, creating more urgency and motivation in your own life, the money objection, being a steward of your finances, is because when you have stronger belief, stronger conviction, when you say something, there's actual power and cause over your words. And people can feel that. People can feel your presence. Back to what we're talking about in the pyramid, people can feel your presence. So your much more advanced value system, belief system compared to that person in day one leads to you to have better intention, better body language, you have alignment, you have presence, and you have subcommunication. So back to what's happening is your internal fortitude, your internal strength creates external clarity for that person. And back to what we talked about, what is the core cause that we want to be doing during objection handling is creating and bringing them clarity. So can you see how we're all kind of connected in like this mosh posh of like different things? So long story short, Colton, what all it's doing at the end of the day is your internal strength. And this is my invitation to everyone, guys, is like develop your own values, like really think through what you believe in, because that belief leads into conviction, which then leads to clarity for the people around you. That's why it's important to have internal strength and fortitude on this.